Okay, this is Alan, the Lonely Bookshelf. I'm here continuing with the Holy Four Gospels commentary on the Holy Scriptures of the New Testament by Archbishop Africree. We're in chapter 5, which is, it says the hill and the paralytic, which is only found in the Gospel of John. Let me turn to that real quick. It's not found in the other four Gospels. Here we are. It's chapter 5 of John. After this, there was a feast of Judea, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now, there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool, which is called in Hebrew Bethesda, having 5 porches. And those lay a great multitude of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the movement of the water. For an angel went down at a certain time into the pool and stirred up the water. Then whoever stepped in first at the stirring of the water was made well, whatever disease he had. Now a certain man was there who had an infirmity of 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been in that condition a long time, he said to him, Do you want to be made well? The sick man answered him, Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up, but while I'm coming, another steps down before me. Excuse me. Jesus said to him, Rise, take up your bed and walk. Immediately the man was made well, took up his bed and walked, and on that day was the Sabbath. The Jews therefore said to him who was cured, It is the Sabbath. It says the Jews there, it's probably the Pharisees or the Sadducees, not the whole congregation. It's the ones that were against Jesus. It's probably the Pharisees. The Pharisees therefore said to him, Who was cured, it is the Sabbath, it is not lawful for you to carry a bed. He answered them, Who has made me well, said to me, Take up your bed and walk. Then they asked him, Who was the man who said to you, Take up your bed and walk? But the one who was healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had withdrawn, a multitude being in that place. Afterwards Jesus found him in the temple, said to him, See, you have been made well, sin no more, lest the worst thing could come upon you. The man departed and told the Jews that it was Jesus who made him well. And then that verse 16 says, For this reason they persecuted Jesus, sought to kill him because he had done these things on the Sabbath. So that's John chapter 5, verses 12 to 16. And it is not mentioned what the feast was in the opening sentence. It doesn't say. In Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 16, it says, 3 times a year all your mouth shall appear before the Lord your God, place where he chooses. At the feast of unleavened bread, at the feast of weeks, and the feast of tabernacles, they shall not appear before the Lord empty-handed. So it's probably one of those certain feasts that Judea could appear to. It's interesting how it says here in the commentary, the sheep gate is known because sheep intended to sacrifice was herded through there, and it was a marketplace for such animals nearby. And the pool in the water is known in Hebrew as Bethsaida. Here it says, near the pool of Siloam, which means house of compassion or God's mercy, since the water from that pool came from a healing source. According to Eusebius, even in the 4th century AD, there were 5 porches near this source. It attracted a great multitude of sick people. It is not a typical spring. Its healing powers exhibit only occasionally when the angel of the Lord would come down the waters and disturb them. Only he who was in the water first will be healed. In other words, it seemed that the water had healing properties, but only for a short time. And then it would revert to normal water. So this man is laying there and he's been paralyzed for 38 years. And he's losing all hope of healing. And he explained this to Jesus and that nobody would help him go into the water because he himself was paralyzed. And Jesus immediately heals him, says, "Rise, take up your bed and walk." And showing his primacy over saving grace, of his saving grace over the ways of salvation available in the Old Testament. It was the because of the Sabbath. And I remember a lady at the church I used to attend to. She said that her next door neighbor were Jewish, and they had asked her to come over to their house to turn the oven on because they couldn't do it because of the Sabbath. And the Jews and the Pharisees, Sadducees, and religious elders at the time were very strict on rule keeping, law keeping, that they took what was in the Torah and began to add more to it in hopes that the Messiah would come quickly. Anticipation of the Messiah. So if someone is doing like this man's doing, taking him to bed, taking him to his bed and walking on the Sabbath, which was in their eyes is a violation, then they would go, "Oh my gosh, that's terrible. The Messiah is not coming. We got to stop this man for doing this." And it's interesting that they never asked him if he was healed. Maybe they didn't see him, or stayed away from that place where they were. And in this one, the Jewish New Testament commentary, it states that it's understanding of the Torah against the traditions against what later became the Jewish halakha, halakha, as was in Jeremiah 17:21-22. Let's go ahead and look that up. One of the prophets. This can take a while. That's Isaiah, I believe. Oh, here we are. Jeremiah 17:21-22. This is from the New King James Version. 17:21-22. Thus says the Lord, take heed to yourself and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem, nor carry a burden out of your house on the Sabbath day, nor do any work, but hallow the Sabbath day as I commanded your fathers. So, but the context suggests that prohibitions against working for profit. And you have another passage in Nehemiah. Let's go to that real quick. If I can find it. Oh, here we are. Nehemiah. Knew it was there somewhere. Nehemiah 13:19 states that, so it was at the gates of Jerusalem as it began to be dark before the Sabbath that I commanded the gates to be shut and charged that they must not be opened till after the Sabbath. Then I posted some servants at the gates, so that no burdens would be brought in on the Sabbath day. So it's talking about burdens again. It seemed like carrying a mat is not a burden. Uh, so he goes on to say that it makes carrying a public area on the Sabbath unlawful. And so that's what the ruling elders, Pharisees and Sadducees did. They made it a harsher penalty. And that is because, as I said, that they wanted the Messiah to come quickly if they did that. And so in a walled city like Jerusalem, a special legal arrangement called a Eruv, ERUV, makes it legal to carry on the Sabbath. Perhaps a man had his home outside the walls of Jerusalem, beyond range of the Eruv, or he may have been hopeless and slept on the mat each night outside the city. Another possibility, he had not left Jerusalem, was still in the temple area. But the Judeans perceived that he was about to leave, was warning him not to violate the Sabbath by carrying his mat through the gates. Note, however, that the Judeans ignored the miraculous healing and concerned themselves with only infringement of the version of the law. They could not see that the formerly crippled man's ability to carry mat attached to God's glory. And that's what sometimes we as Christians fail to see also. That we don't we act like sometimes like the Pharisees, even I do sometimes. And verse 14 was stop saying something else will happen to you. Is it basically a disease? It's not a consequence in a sense, a variable, but as Jesus affirmed, but it can be. That's like someone who's, oh, it's okay, it's a little thing. And you keep doing this little thing, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. Kind of like a cancer. If you don't stop it once before it starts to grow, then it will get worse and worse. So that was today's lesson. Thank you for watching, and take care.